Okay, 31, we've got all the bullet points. So this is a rhetorical synthesis. And what does the student want? That indicate the Mexican Siracusa FWS classification category. Which choice most effectively? So the student wants to indicate the Siracusa classification. Okay, so let's find that bullet point. The Fish and Wildlife Service keeps a list of all at-risk species. So that's what the FWS is. Species on the list are classified as either endangered or threatened. A species that is in danger of extinction throughout most or all of its range is classified as endangered. Okay, we haven't gotten to the Siracusa yet. A species that is likely to soon become endangered is classified as threatened. So we have a difference between endangered and threatened. Despite decades of extensive construction and eradication of the Riviera Maya jungle, the Mexican Siracusa have made the Yucatan Peninsula their home. Wait, the Siracusa have survived even as the jungle is getting built up or erased, basically. So that would suggest to me they're neither endangered nor threatened, because they're not in danger of extinction. That's not true, according to the last bullet point. And nothing seemed to suggest they're soon to become endangered. They're made that area their home. So I think the answer here is they're not on the list. So species on the FWS list, which includes the Mexican Siracusa, are classified as, no, I don't think they're there. Nothing says they were. The Mexican Siracusa appear on the FW list as at risk. No, they're definitely not. They're not threatened. According to the FWS, the Mexican Siracusa is in the endangered category, in danger of extinction throughout. No, it's not. There is some threats against it, but it looks like it's made it its home regardless. D, the Mexican Siracusa is neither endangered nor threatened. It does not appear on the list of at risk. Yes, that seems to be the right answer. D. Okay, another rhetorical synthesis, 32. Here, the student wants to introduce such and such's book to an audience familiar with the Atlantic Monthly. Okay, so familiar with the Atlantic Monthly will probably be our first two bullet points, so we don't want them because they already know that. We just need an introduction of the book without that. The Atlantic Monthly was first published in 1857. The magazine focused on politics, arts, and literature. So our audience knows that. We don't want this information in the answer. Okay. So what's the book? Let's see that. In 2019, a historian published the book Faraway Women in the Atlantic Monthly. Its subject is female authors whose autobiographies appear in the magazine in the 1900s. One of the authors discussed is, okay, so we want some description from those bullet points. So let's check the answers. Catherine Halverson's Faraway Women in the Atlantic Monthly, that's the title of the book, discusses female authors whose autobiographies appeared in the magazine in the early 1900s. Yes. So it gives us the title. It tells us kind of what's in the book. That's a pretty good introduction right there. And it doesn't tell us when the Atlantic Monthly came out or whether it's an art magazine or anything. There's no information from those first two bullet points. This is probably going to be our answer. Let's just check the others. A magazine called the Atlantic Monthly was first published in 1857. That's not right. That's assuming the audience is unfamiliar. It's telling you about the first bullet points. Faraway Women in the Atlantic Monthly features contributors to the Atlantic Monthly. First published in 1857. We don't want that first bullet point in our answer. D, an author discussed by Catherine Halverson is Juanita Harrison, whose autobiography appeared in the Atlantic Monthly in the early 1900s. That's not really introducing the book. That's a particular detail, not meeting the condition of introduce. So I think A is going to be the correct answer. It's an introduction, but it doesn't include those first bullet points because the audience is familiar with them. 33, rhetorical synthesis. The student wants to make a generalization about the kind of study conducted by whoever. Okay, so we want a generalization. That means we want a broad statement. You know, if something happened, then it's true everywhere kind of statement. So let's see. Musicians Stephen Stills, David Crosby, Graham Nash, Neil Young all shared writing credit for numerous Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young songs. Okay. Stephen Stills was the most prolific, but Graham Nash wrote more of their commercial hits than Crosby or Stills. The exact authorship of specific parts of certain CNSY songs is disputed. Okay, we haven't really said anything about a kind of study yet to generalize. It's just here's the band. There was some dispute. They all wrote songs, and maybe some of them were unknown exactly who wrote them. So, okay, here we have the such and such Glickman and Brown song. Use statistical methods to analyze the musical content of the band songs. Included, there's 24.2 probability that Stephen Stills wrote the verses for Love the One You're With. Okay, I don't think that's their conclusion, but not a generalization. The generalization here is that they use a statistical method to find the authorship. I think that's the generalization. You can do that, right, successfully. That would be a broader statement about their study, or the kind of study. So A, based on statistical analysis, Glickman and Brown claimed that Graham Nash wrote verses for the Love the One You're With. Okay, that might be accurate, but it's not a generalization. It's a conclusion. B, there is a 24.2%. Again, anything with that detail in there is not a generalization. That's not going to be it. C, it is likely that Graham Nash, not Stephen Stills, wrote the verses for Love the One You're With. Again, that was their conclusion. That's not going to be your answer. D, researchers have used statistical methods to address questions of authorship within the field of music. That is the generalization. I don't want any one of the particular details or conclusions. I want a generalization about the type of study, which is statistical analysis. D is the only answer that can be correct here.